Hey everybody, do not adjust your TV set because this is another RCT2 review. Welcome to our head-to-head 10 review series as we've been going through the contest entries, and that's a cool little intro to this park. This is round number 4, match number 2, and this is the Dam Busters Park. This park is called, let me take a deep breath here, Dam Busters Home Video presents Buxom the Sunset Sorceress and the Purple Haze at Castle Death. Yes, that is the entire name of the park. This is built 60% by Andrew, 30% by Coco, and 10% by MorganFan. This is kind of a fun park. It kind of has the vibe like you saw with the kind of VHS static going on there at the beginning of like a 80s, 90s straight to VHS type action movie, as the name also suggests. So it's got a lot of fun, kind of interesting vibes to it, and it's a neat little park. So let's get into it and have a look. So, quick tour around the map. We've got this giant castle dominating a big inverted coaster. Points for the inverted coaster because we've seen pretty much just a bunch of Intamins and RMCs lately, which is fair because they have the new pieces. But nice to see something different here. So points for that. But let's start down here in the water. We've got these little boats coming through here, lantern smuggling dinghies, some fish going under. Here's a shipwreck, which is actually a really neat shipwreck. I don't think I've seen one done like that before. Here we've got a burning windmill, and actually the little frog hopper here is called the flaming windmill. So harkens back to some of the classic monsters area that Epic Universe is looking to build. So kind of a neat little detail there. Good half diagonals and all those sorts of details. I really like the sort of neon-y, pastel-y type colors that intersperse throughout this park. Like the coaster itself, the sort of like purple, well, I mean sunset looking kind of thing with that sort of yellow glare to the whole thing. It's a cool look. I think it's got a good vibe to it. Around to this side, we've got a couple of bears, some concerning blood maybe on the wood there, or on the tree trunk perhaps. Really neat little walkway up to the top. Actually does a very nice job in getting some height to a pathway in a pretty interesting way. Got our curved staircases in there, so check that box off right away. Great little waterfall here as well. Let's explore the town before we go up to the coaster itself. We've got this great little town, a lot of these kind of half-timbered buildings here, sort of European vibe to it. Cool little altar sort of thing in the middle with these ominous bones, and here's our purple haze that the name does make us think about. So we have to go explore, I guess, why the purple haze is here. So we'll see more of that a little later. So lots of really nice architecture, to be honest. I like the way that this folds down on these kind of terrain elements here, so it doesn't really transition into stairs necessarily, so it's got a little bit of kind of undulation to it, feels sort of uneven. I always like when in sort of these more rustic parks where the pathway kind of fades out to just weeds and plants and flowers and little boxes of just stuff. I think that's always kind of a neat look. More stairs here, though, which is kind of nice. Very neat use of regular, half diagonal, and full diagonal, which is kind of neat as well. And also, look at these great little reflections off of the water. That's a really, really nice detail. That's super cool. Big fan of that one. Great large building here. We've got these floating chandeliers, a little bit of mystery going on as well, and this will be a neat walkway to go walk down. It was a little precarious perhaps, but pretty darn cool. But let's take a look at this invert. So this invert is called the Purple Haze at Castle Death. So just like our namesake of the park. So if we turn the corner here initially, we can see this steep lift that's going to lead into a loop around the lift hill, which is kind of neat. Nice to see that. So it's a pretty sprawling layout. Reasonably realistic. It's got a couple of little odd details. This bit right here with the middle here with this kind of long section of the corkscrew in there. Definitely built for the interaction, not necessarily for the realism, which is fine. Not like we're expecting that to be fully realistic anyways. I love the way that this invert Cobra roll is positioned right here, sort of way up on the hillside looking over everything. That's already a pretty long layout to begin with, but we're only at the mid-course brake run here as it comes around. So here we come, through there, and we get a whole nother rest of it, I guess. Over on this side, a lot more curves and twists and everything. Loving how these helixes wrap around the coaster. I'd be curious to know if it actually meets clearances there or not, or just visually does, which I think is pretty valid too. But really looks good throughout that. And of course diagonal brakes, because that's the new hit thing, and they're super useful. This is good interaction too with this Batwing going underneath this little arch. So as we do get up here, we've got a couple of different things. We got our little three-sorted barbarian here, which there's a lot of little clickable characters from, I guess, the show here. And it actually starts to get fairly dark up here because we've got a bunch of these heads on pikes, which feels fairly concerning. And these guests really don't seem to be super concerned about all the blood and everything else, which maybe they ought to be. But also a couple crucified people up here, which is a bad day for everybody. This cool bridge coming across and really used well for the invert. Super interactive on the whole thing. Interesting little mob forming right here, and on the inside we've got this whole thing going on with this like flashing symbol on the ground. I guess you can't really see it too much else. But we've got our villain here called Grimblow, who's activating crystals. We see him throughout. There's a couple of clickable spots where we can see Grimblow doing whatever he does. Nice little market area here, and if we spin around to this side, we get kind of a whole other scene. This actually feels like a fairly large park to me. It's one of those things that I always appreciate on head-to-head parks where they can feel really large even with the head-to-head size. These cutaways certainly help. We get this great little spinning coaster here, which has this super cool lift right here with these like spiral stairs going up, kind of wrapping around these cages and potions and other things, and this is all like seeping into the ground, which feels like kind of concerning perhaps. We've got this little boat ride here called Deadly Morbid Transport, which actually goes throughout this whole space. Here's another part of it, and it goes all the way over into this cave down here, which has a whole bunch of coffins and different things. And actually, if we go up to the top here, we've got a whole bunch of coffins and all this purple haze sitting around this whole place, which seems like maybe a bad thing. But I love this this cool crane here that just works its way down, and you can actually see it down here holding this bit, so that's a cool continuity thing. I just like seeing that go down through there. But really neat graveyard vibe here with the overgrown grasses and all the kind of haze over the tombstones and everything, and these sort of atmospheric lights. I think that's pretty darn cool. If we spin around, we can see another section of this spinning coaster. Again, cool bright colors to the whole thing. Up on top here, we have a little tiny extra castle. We got this lion, and here's Grimblow again, scheming this time. So he's up to no good, perhaps. Another cool staircase here, just kind of hanging on the edge here, and we get this monkey who's hanging off there as well. But it would be kind of neat to walk down something like that. This is a green haze, I guess. We got a couple of little bits and pieces there. As we wrap around to this side, we've got another ride here called The Mystery of the Open Graves. It sounds like another episode of this show, perhaps. Kind of cool, I guess, sort of dilapidated building here with the pieces of roof coming apart. Again, really cool walkway hanging off the edge. I love the curved nature to it and just how smoothly that all transitions together and kind of feels sort of haphazardly stood up with all these little parts and pieces. But this is using the ETF ride vehicle base that I think, is built real steel. But really kind of neat ride that goes all around the area here over some water here through all this purple haze. We got this, we got some mystery bits and pieces up here of coming up out of the ground, and lots of little dark ride sections. There's a big spider and everything, and here, which I spoiled earlier when we come down. So here we have the, I guess, kind of climactic scene of, I guess this must be Buxom the Sunset Sorceress. based on the park title. And a lot of bodies floating down here, which also feels like a concern. A lot of things floating, so that's kind of neat. But this is a really cool show scene here, especially we've got the boat ride that we looked at earlier, kind of scattering around and kind of floating around this whole thing here. We have, of course, Grimblow again creating the purple haze, so I guess he really is the bad guy for all of this, but really kind of neat scene here with just all the kinetic movement and everything. I love the floating peeps and or scenery pieces and everything. And it's just kind of a really cool scene altogether. Really is a neat kind of discovery thing, which I always appreciate. You know, looking down here, here's that boat ride coming through some of these other little caves and things like that. I would say this is probably one of the best landscape parks so far. There's more death and other things. So, very, very pretty landscaping just in general. The whole park is pretty, but the landscaping, like all of this, is done very, very well. Good rock work and everything. That's kind of interesting to me, you know, how kind of almost bright and I don't know if cheerful is the right word, but kind of bright and in your face a lot of the colors are, or as dark as some of the scenes are within the park. So interesting little details there for sure to kind of set the stage on it. Here's a bunch of these creepy cult guys going on here as well. But neat park, really, really grew on me over time. I wasn't really sure what to make of it initially. And I will touch on, at the very beginning when we saw that VHS stuff, that's actually a really, really clever, clever thing that I believe Coco did on this park. Rather than like a ride vehicle like we've seen for show or like title sequences before, it's actually a custom ride based on the Scrambler ride and has the little VHS kind of horizontal stripes done on like certain intervals of the just drawn visual like pieces of the Scrambler. So as it spins around, it's like, you know, 8 photos or something that, you know, is then sequenced together and everything. So like this one shows up on like 1, 3, 4, and 7 or whatever, and gives it that kind of cool static imagery and everything. I've explained that incredibly poorly, but I'm sure Coco would be happy to explain it as well. But very cool and really neat detail, something I hadn't seen before, which I appreciated. So that's it for this one. Hopefully you will want to download this park and check it out. I will put a link in the description, as well as a link to open RCT2, which you will need as well. Check this one out and then come back for the opposing park next time, and we'll review it then. So until next time, thank you all very much for watching, and have a great day. Bye.